we do have a fantastic sit down with Uleni Kandlovu. He's a multidisciplinary artist, and that's exactly where I'm going to start. Good morning, Uleni.
Morning, brother. How are you?
It sounds so broad when somebody says a multidisciplinary artist. What are some of these disciplines? Let's unpack that. Let's say, where is your artistry embedded in?
So it's very broad, but my mediums are music, fashion, creative art direction, and art curation. Those are my mediums within the multidisciplinarity.
I can see the fashion with the way you've put this outfit out together.
I just woke up like this.
I woke up like this. Yeah, but I also know that, one of the things that you work around is the Bantu spaceship. I love the sound of that. Maybe unpack what the Bantu spaceship is and how you feed into that.
So Bantu Spaceship is an experimental music band that we founded in 2018, me and Joshua Chundize. But recently we've been touring with the addition of Thando Mlambo, who's a guitarist and a backing vocalist, and Behan Serpent, who's a lead guitarist and vocalist as well. So it's much of an experimental music. We're just exploring Zimbabwean sounds. We all love electronic music, rock music, and a bit of hip-hop, but we're fusing that with Zimbabwean music from disco to sungura and other elements that Zim has been doing. So it's purely Zimbabwean music, but
with all those different influences. And what has been the reception? You said obviously you guys formed this in 2018.
Yeah.
What has been the reception from colleagues in the industry and even fans to that experimental side where you guys are doing so many different things, especially with Bantu Spaceship?
No, it's been great because we started low-key, which super chilled about it. We didn't really put it out as a performance outfit. We're more on the research side of things, so we're just Joshua is looking more in the Mashonaland side of things, like in terms of instrumentation, the Sungura music, and looking also into his backgrounds. Their heritage is Malawian heritage. So for me, I was looking more into Matabeleland styles of music. That's where you find mbube, you find all those choral backings, like with multi-layering of vocals. Then we put out the project. The reception was great. That's when we kind of pushed to get in this. Not pushed. That's when we got to the next phase, where it was more of putting out the project as a performance piece. The album did well, dropped on vinyl. Then from there, we got some invitation to different festivals, and we started working with touring agents from France. So since then, it's been touring and performing in a lot of platforms. Still new. Our album dropped last year in 2023, but the reception has been great, and that's how we've managed to do all these shows and the tours that are coming up.
Sounds interesting. I do understand you have a background in journalism, mass communication. How did that influence that decision, especially going into Bantu Spaceship? And you mentioned the element of research and feeding into the background, whether it's Matabeleland, Malawi, Mashonaland, all those different things. How has that fed into your creativity as Bantu Spaceship?
No, really, like journalism and mass communication really opened me up, because I was in a space where before that I'm like, I want to do music, I want to do fashion, I want to do all these things, but I could do them at the same time. But after studying journalism, that's when I was like, all right, cool, everything that I'm doing is part of storytelling, but it's just different mediums. So I started photography, video film, writing and everything. But then with that, my creative work, I figured out how to then group it in different ways or put it out in different mediums, which is still achieving the same goal, that is storytelling. So it's been easy like that. Yeah.
It's been smooth transition.
It's been smooth, yeah. It's been smooth,
speaking about working with different mediums, tell me about the SS Fabric Party.
Also, SS Fabric Party was one of the platforms that we founded in 2020, based on the space that we're all in, because coming from the subcultures, there were less spaces that allowed us to showcase for instance, street art or photography as an element, or alternative music as an element, or styling as an element, or the fashion that we want to push as an element, because most of these platforms kind of specialized on certain things that were expected. So for us, we're like, okay, we're a collective of people who are in that space. Why can't we create our own platform that allows us to showcase or spotlight those things? So it's been that journey and finding other people who resonate with that who've been coming along. So it's been that space, the alternative space that allowed us to showcase what we want to showcase and allowed fellow creatives who were in that space to come through and showcase.
And where did you guys have this space when you did it in 2020?
I started in our studio downtown in Mbare. We had a studio that we work from. It's by Mbare Art Space, so our studios are based there. So we started inviting friends to come through to the space and co-create and curate with us. Since then, it's been growing, but we've been taking it from 2022. We started taking it to in the inner city in different spaces, unlocking some old buildings that were closed for about maybe 10 years. Just
putting a creative element. And I understand you're also the head curator and the creative director. What has, since 2020, what have been some of the most rewarding experiences for you, especially with this SS Fabric Party?
Yeah, we managed to do a whole lot of things, like growing from around first edition, 20 people. Last year, around 1,500 people showed up. And we've done activations in 5 cities in Zim, that is Vic Falls, Bulawayo, Chinhoyi, and Gweru, and Harare, that's 5. Then last weekend, we're doing the first Lusaka activation. Just did over the weekend, we did the Lusaka Fabric Party activation. Then last year, we did a collaboration with Luju Festival in Eswatini. We had 2 designers, Saint Danger and Jay Sabelo, going to represent Fabric Party. So it's been expanding and growing, like from numbers and also the impact as well itself, where designers were selling maybe their stuff when we started working with them at $11. Now we have a brand, for instance, Rose Bowl, they sell their pens from around $60, but from $11. So the growth has been rapid, and the product itself has been improving. So it's been great.
And I mean, as a creative, how important is it for you to not only facilitate spaces like this for creatives from different mediums to come through and sort of work together, but also to just allow other creatives an opportunity to display their works? I mean, you highlighted some have been able to improve the commercialization of their art. You're talking about those that from selling something from $11, it might grade into $60. So that impact in terms of the creative industry.
So like for us, the whole idea was we're from the subculture, we're from the underground, but the whole idea and the vision was how do we create an sustainable ecosystem of creatives within our space and creatives in general within the country, which is one of the most important subjects. So by transitioning from passion or some hobby or some work that you do as an artist, how do you monetize it? So our goal has always been, how do we collectively create a space that allows us to monetize the work that we're doing and make it sustainable within our ecosystem.
We've seen JIT sort of make a comeback in a lot of contemporary music. But I also understand there's something that's called the new JIT wave. And you guys, especially with Bantu Spaceship, have been actively engaged in that. What is the new JIT wave?
So the new JIT wave, even if you look at the definition of what JIT wave was in the 1980s, how it's defined, even if you Google on the internet, it's the Zimbabwean dance music, but it had a lot of Sungura, but it's Zimbabwean dance music. So ours is also Zimbabwean dance music, but there is a lot of synth, disco, and a bit of electronic elements, and the Sungura elements. So we call it the new JIT wave, because it's a wave with, there's a lot of electronic elements to it. But it's not the Western electronic music, but it is, we have defined it in our own way, fusing.
Oh, you're just using electronic equipment
to
create,
elements, there's a whole lot of...
enhance the sound.
To enhance the sound. Also, I've introduced the rock guitar in it. So we call it New JIT Wave, but it's borrowing from the JIT music, the Zimbabwean dance music, so ours is also dance-ish,
I know, it's fantastic. I mean, just zoning in, we've talked a lot about Bantu Spaceship, but as an individual artist, obviously, you did mention, and I highlighted your outfit, you said I woke up like this, but like let's talk about the fashion and your movement into that sphere. What have you been doing from a fashion perspective?
I've been doing a lot of creative art direction in the fashion space, also including curating the Fabric Party, which is one of the biggest elements in the space is fashion. Then on my own, I have a collection that I put out some time ago. That is maybe last year and last year, different collections. So they're
So I mean, what kind of fashion are we?
It's streetwear. It's streetwear. It's streetwear. I do streetwear, but in our collective, there are a lot of people who do avant-garde, there are a lot of experimental, but for me, it's just streetwear, some functionality wear.
Very functional.
Yeah, very
so it's something that somebody can walk
It's
with.
workwear vibes, yeah, but it can work with it.
All right, and I mean, speaking about that individuality and then Bantu Spaceship, how do you sort of balance that out, maintaining your individual character as a creative and then collaborating with other creatives and then even curating and being a creative director? How do you balance and navigate your way through all that?
So like the whole thing was initially when I was starting up, I wanted to strictly do music, but after studying journalism, I was given an option by parents of like study something that you can self-teach, something that you can't do by yourself. So I started journalism. Then since then, the balance came in a space whereby, all right, cool. If I'm doing fashion, it kind of feeds into music. If I'm doing art curation, it feeds into the other things that I'm doing. So all these things are interconnected, are kind of intertwined. So whenever I'm doing music, it feeds into fashion. Whenever I'm doing events creation, it feeds into
so it's like an ecosystem.
Connected. Yeah, so I can do it separately, but it feeds into all those things that I'm doing. I can say maybe these 2 months I'm strictly focusing on this element, but it still feeds on all these things because they're kind of connected. So I don't struggle with the balance.
At the top of the show, I introduced you as a multidisciplinary artist, and we've talked about fashion, we've talked about music, we've talked about your role as a curator and a creative director. But I also understand this is not even enough. You've got a short film documentary that you've been working on. Tell me a bit more about that.
So it was the Harare Downtown project was more building into. It was more like I think it's one of the first things before the Fabric Party. Yeah. It was the idea of all right, cool, who's there, who's in the subculture, who's in the underground, who's the underground here. So the whole thing was documenting the people within that space. Oh. So it helped in terms of connecting with people. So even when you're like, all right, cool guys, been seeing what you're doing, documenting what you're doing, but we have this platform, will you be keen to come through? So it's
and then that was able to get you guys the engagement and the collaboration. All right, I mean, in terms of your work as Uleni and Bantu Spaceship, what do you see that's contributing to the Zimbabwean art space? And maybe just as we close off, maybe what can we expect? You've done so much already, but what are some of the plans for Uleni and Bantu Spaceship going forward?
Oh, like the first part that you're talking about, our work has been building and complementing what's been happening. There are a lot of art galleries like Fesla Gallery, Village Unu, Mara Space, Animal Farm that have been doing the work in the subculture. So ours was also adding into that. And what's next on us as a band, as Bantu Spaceship, we're going on tour. Like we have Geneva, Switzerland, Geneva, Berlin, and France, Paris. So we have some shows that are lined up this June, end of June and beginning of July. Then as the Fabric Party, we're doing our Fabric Party convention, the 3 days one, annual one. We launched it last year, so we're doing the second annual edition. This year, that is 25 October to 27 October in Harare. Then we have the activation in Bulawayo on the 10th of August. So that's what's up. That's what's next. Yeah.
Sounds exciting. Uleni Kandlovu is joining us. An absolutely fantastic artist, multi-disciplinary artist, working in film, music, fashion, so many different things. And yeah, I will definitely be following your journey and wish you all the best when you guys go on your European tour. And I'll be looking to check out the Fabric Party when you guys have it later in October.
Konapo, Ipapo pa ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.